Hey, everybody, and we are live on Saturday night with Chris Thorne. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Hey, great to see you, Mike. How you doing tonight?
I am good. You know, it's COVID Saturday night, so I'm not exactly out doing anything. So instead of actually going out somewhere, I'm sitting at home, and I'd rather be talking to you instead of watching the
So
TV right now.
I got to tell you, not to make you feel bad at all, but out here on the West Coast, it's still just coming up to 5 o'clock. So I got the barbecue heating up, and I got some shrimp that are getting ready to get flat faced out there, and a nice filet mignon that are going to come right behind them. So just let you know.
So surf and turf and a cold beer.
That's pretty much my Saturday night.
And then tomorrow's football, right?
Tomorrow is football day. I know everyone's got their thoughts and opinions on that, so I won't go too far, but go Cardinals.
Oh, geez.
Just come on.
Fly, Eagles, fly. How about
that? Well, we'll see what kind of comments come into the feed from this one.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just getting it loaded up so that we can see the comments. But hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. I don't know what just happened there. So can you hear me, Chris?
I can still hear you.
Okay, so you're gonna have to monitor the screen because when I played it on my other computer, I couldn't hear you.
No worries at all. I got you.
There you go. The glasses are on. So
there you go. I'm looking, and just so you know, to let out there coming from Hawaii, where it's still early in the afternoon, so we got some people coming up to join us.
Great. So, all right, Chris. So before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Well, I appreciate that, Mike. And so, for those of you who don't know, I am a 30-year Navy veteran, started as a corpsman. So for you non-Navy folks out there, oftentimes you think of that as the medic, whatever. Did 30 years in the Navy, and that rising through the ranks and eventually becoming a command master chief. And to let you know right up front, I'm a terrible sailor, even though I was in the Navy for 30 years. I was never assigned to a single ship in my entire career. I actually spent about 19 of those years stationed with Marine Corps units, and so just had a great time with them. But really great military career, had a great family, great base of support, had a very successful opportunity through all of that, and loved it, and loved the families that I built through that. But coming out of my military career, I was blessed and lucky to have the opportunity really to have a little bit of space in my transition to figure out what it was that mattered to me. Something that was really, as I discovered, unique, that most people didn't get an opportunity. And honestly, my last duty station was over in Sigonella, Sicily. Great place to be, but terrible to retire from overseas, right? Sicily is a great place for a final duty station. Terrible place for a 2.5-year GO batch tour to finish, but a great place to finish. But it's always hard to retire from an overseas location. And the thing that I figured out after getting back and having the benefit of really the advantages I did is that if I had really needed my transition to be ready for me to go into having a career, to take care of my family, to set me up for my future, to be successful in going forward, I would have miserably failed. I would have left my family hanging. I would have left myself hanging, and I probably would have been one of the statistic veterans that were out there, because the truth of the matter is I had not networked. I had not built connections in industry. I had not discovered and understood who I am and what I really wanted to be doing and where I fit into industry. All those mistakes that I think everyone makes. Yeah, that was me. And out of pure luck, I had the space to land softly with all of that. But when I started seeing all of our brothers and sisters who do not have that advantage of that space, who are making those issues are turning into lifelong family and career issues, it made me decide that what I have to do is I have to commit myself to helping them not be the veteran statistic that I would or should have been if I hadn't been a lucky individual. And so now I love doing what we're doing, and I love working with the team that really is focused on setting service members up for success through DoD Skill Bridge. And more important, well, not more importantly, but really exciting to me is helping employers discover the value of veteran hiring and how easy it is to bring them into the organization for success. I love doing that. It's so fun.
Yep. So, but before we get into that,
yeah,
I want to go back a step. So, you said you didn't set yourself up for success, immediately out of the Navy. What happened? Did you just work up to the last minute? Did you not start thinking about it till too late? I mean, you got all your certs and stuff like that, so you did something right.
Yeah. So, I got to say, one, and there are people out there who will tell you when I was coming out of the Navy, when I say advantage, I have an amazing family, wonderful support, dual active duty family. We did 25 years jointly of dual active duty, and my wife retired about 8 months behind me. Our kids grew up amazingly stable. I don't know how with me as their father and in this environment, but they grew up amazingly stable and found their way into successful adult lives. And so we were able to navigate those. And so through the benefit of that, honestly, look, my transition plan, Mike, was very, very simple. Retirement. And I'm talking straight up retirement. I'm talking Airstream RV, Tommy Bahama version. I already know which one. Airstream RV, towing that bad boy around the country, finding state and national parks all around the country, stamping every one of them, and hitting associated breweries. That was the retirement plan. And to be quite honest, we could and still could today execute that retirement plan. And that's what I talk about in being lucky, is that just really a lot of circumstances, situations, having a wife who's much smarter than me, that really all helped in that process. But that space created an opportunity to start developing networks. And so like one of the things, I talk about Justin Pearson. Justin, if you're watching out there, whenever you watch out there, Justin was probably the first person to smack me with a brick upside the head and say, Chris, you have more to give back to the community than this. You have more that you can do, but you need to be engaged. You need to be involved. And so let's start getting you. And we spent hours on a Saturday talking about
how far out were you when that conversation took place?
2 weeks after I got my DD 214. So
okay. So let me rephrase this a little bit for the community out here, because this is not the way we tell people to. And when you say you got lucky, let me kind of twist that a little bit.
Okay.
So you didn't get lucky. You put in the work earlier in your career to make sure you were financially stable, to make sure that you and your family were set up for success, and you had a window to decide whether you wanted to do anything or what you wanted to do.
That's fair.
Because of the sacrifice, being two very senior dual military families and having bought a house, years and years and years ago, you had the ability to have more flexibility. So I don't want people to think that like you got lucky into it. Like you put in the work to make sure you had the flexibility when it came time to transition.
That's a fair statement. I mean, we invested early in the house. We invested early in putting the cash away. We bought life insurance policies when we were in our 20s so that we had policies to go for years to come. So that's a fair statement. But at the same time, I don't want to assume that everyone's in a position to be able to do that.
So let's talk about SkillBridge. And I want to talk about this because I keep telling people it is the #1 program out there for a transition. There is nothing that beats being able to spend 3 to 4 months full-time at an employer, learning culture, learning about the job, making sure that's what you want to do. And then from the employer standpoint, they get a 3 to 4 month test drive. Not only are they helping support the veteran community, they get to see someone's work and determine culture fit and performance before even making an offer.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about what you're seeing, because HireMilitary, yes, what's your role at HireMilitary? Let's go into that.
So, well, for those who don't know, I am the National Director of Accounts for HireMilitary. My role, my job is really to engage primarily on the employer side to help employers understand DoD SkillBridge and how it works, how they can engage and employ with it, how they can really tap into that veteran talent pool and maximize resources to create veteran opportunities. So that's the majority of what I do, and then manage the process and oversee the account managers who are actively placing service members in there. And so, last year, it's fun. Last year, I think I talked with about 1,000 employers, C-suite, senior executive, human resources, hiring manager officials, and about 1,000 companies nationwide, different industries, all sizes out there. And, I'm knocking on wood this year, right about 2,000 employers this year, hopefully for direct conversations, and lots of conversations to be had out there. But you know what? There's 24 million employers in the United States who are eligible to participate in this program. So I got a long way to go before I hit them all.
I'm going to translate for you again. So you're the brains of this operation, and I guess I'm the brand. So your job is you talk to a lot of employers, explain the program, find out what their pain points are, and help them figure out how to build this program for their company, including talking to HR, talking to legal, talking about how they can categorize these SkillBridge interns, and really helping connect the dots between employers and service members.
Yeah, I mean, helping.
1,000 last year.
Yeah, about 1,000 employers last year, a little over, but about 1,000. Yeah.
Perfect. So when you talk to employers, how do you kind of explain SkillBridge?
Wow, usually. There's a few things I want everyone to understand. Some of that is the background of why SkillBridge exists, because when we get to the point of saying what it is, the thing that every one of them says, this is too good to be true. There is no program that comes out of the government that is this good, but it is that good. And so it's important to understand some of the background, that this program was set up to benefit service members because there was a need, but it also was set up to make sure that employers could utilize this. So I want them to understand some of the background that feeds into where it comes from. I want them to understand, how to tie in and integrate. And look, I have lots of conversations, not just directly with employers, speaking directly with national panels, employers groups. In the last couple of weeks, I had a great opportunity to speak as a prime speaker for a human resources group in Florida, talking about DoD SkillBridge writ large. Talking with an employment industry group, Veterans in Agriculture, sponsored out there, and working side by side with some great organizations like Cargill and Nestle and John Deere, and great things. And, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be a speaker on the National Platform Conference for Splunk and cybersecurity, and in California for metropolitan employers. And
what do you say?
What do I say? I tell them that the fact of the matter is that veterans are your most valuable hire that you can bring on board for so many reasons, for the ability they have. But the truth is, they're scared of them. They're scared of veterans because the history tells us that veteran hires are risky. Veterans come with great soft skills, but what they don't have is experience directly inside industry. And that's what SkillBridge solves. It allows that veteran to get experience in industry before they leave the military service. Those programs, processes, production lines that the company uses now, and they can watch them do it for 3, 4, 5, 6 months while the federal government is paying the paycheck, paying the health insurance, the life insurance, the Social Security contributions, the unemployment contributions, the workers' compensation, all those things. The federal government continues to take care of all that, so that the employer is simply providing an opportunity for that veteran transitioning service member to learn. And then here's the beauty of it. Now the company can look at them. They've seen them using their production line. They've seen them using their processes, and they can say, I want you. Not only do I want you, but now that I've watched you work for 3 or 4 months, I know exactly where in the organization you fit best. And so we can target hire you into the right role, which leads to successful hires for the service members, which means not just employment, but we're talking careers, targeted careers at the right level, so that we have job satisfaction and trajectories that lead to success in veterans and industry out there. And so this SkillBridge industry, writ large, all programs, and there are many ways to get there, and we can talk about those.
Hold on. I got a couple questions.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, and then when you talk about the quality of the service member that's coming to work for them, when you say it's an internship, they're not really interns as companies really expect, like the college intern that comes there for a summer, does the whatever. How would you categorize the types of service members that are available and the types of roles?
That's a great question. One of the things we always talk about, because when I talk to an employer, usually you say that word internship, and the first thing that comes into their mind is that year 3 college intern who's coming through and is going to spend 12 to 13 weeks in their junior to senior year of college, getting an experiential exposure to a company. It's really all about just getting exposure. And that's not what these are. These are well experienced and seasoned individuals who are ready to get into the grind of a team and contribute to the organization today. And so really breaking that mold and mindset of what an intern is, and whether we call it a military fellow, which is oftentimes more comfortable, whether we're talking about a military associate under orders, whatever that may be, understanding this is so different. And here's one of the other things, when we talk about internships, again, nationally, internships tend to reflect that year 3 college internship. And the Department of Labor measures what we call hiring conversion rates. That means those who the company invests time in, and then they end up hiring into the organization later on. Nationally, internships, as measured by the Department of Labor, about 27% of those turn into a full-time hired individual later on, which is not that bad. A company spends a lot of money investing in that intern in hopes of being able to hire a good full-time candidate later on. About 27%. Now, here's what's really cool. And for an employer, if you're listening out there right now, I hope you're hearing this. DoD Skill Bridge, these service members who participate in this spend 3, 4, 5, 6 months inside your organization while the federal government pays their wages and benefits out there. About 87% of them turn into direct hire opportunities. 87% of them convert into full-time employees in the organizations that have invested in training them. And for those who are thinking about a skill bridge opportunity, I want you to understand that's darn near 9 in 10 are going to find full-time employment with that company that they spend that last 4, 5, 6 months with. That's an amazing statistic. And really it's something that on all sides of the platform is just astounding.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, somebody just gets on-the-job experience during this incredibly stressful transition, and they're really hitting the ground running, in the hopes that they're going to get that conversion to the full-time job. And so when they're building relationships, they're investing in the company, and the company invests back in them. There's a tremendous opportunity for success.
It is.
So when we talk about it not being a traditional internship, and we talk about it not being, the companies are not allowed to pay the service members, right? They're not allowed to compensate the service members, right?
Correct.
So it's not an unpaid internship from the Department of Labor standpoint, right? I mean, that's something you explain quite frequently, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's one of the conversations, and being a human resources professional, it's one of the areas I'm able to really have that conversation, because it is, for every service member who's ever tried to directly approach a company about DoD Skill Bridge and say, hey, I want to talk to you about this unpaid internship, and then seen that door slam in their face. I need you to understand there's a reason, because in the commercial sector, internships are a touchy subject, especially when we start talking about unpaid. Department of Labor and all the states have some very specific rules on how they can interact and engage with this. So that's one of the things that I spend a lot of time talking with companies, their general counsels, their senior human resources managers, so they can understand. These are fully authorized, what's called FLSA. Okay, FLSA is one of the big standards on federal labor standards that help companies stay right.
Fair Labor Standards Act, right?
What was that? I missed that one.
Fair Labor Standards Act.
Fair Labor Standards Act. That's correct. So FLSA, and then a whole ton of issues, whether they're federal or whether they're local and state, fall into. So helping the employers understand really how this falls into there. The fact that the service members are still underneath the federal system. It is 100% legitimately qualified under FLSA, under FMLA, under all federal and state federal labor guidelines. That's something that's really important. And like I say, for those service members who've tried to approach a company directly with this program and not gotten any love, understand it's not because the companies don't support you as a veteran, don't want to give you opportunities. It's because there are billion-dollar fines that could happen if they approach or interact with labor law incorrectly. And so they get very, very shy and tentative about that. But that's one of the things that we're able to do is have that conversation to help them understand, help them research and educate on how that interacts so that we can make those opportunities happen.
Right. And sometimes they may have an employer or somebody in the company that wants them to do an internship, but that individual doesn't have the ability to explain it to HR, to explain it to the general counsel on why they can and how the process works. So in that case, can they come to you and have you explain it to the company? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, just in the last week alone, we call it the bring your own internship model, right? A service member is connected with somebody at a company, but making that model put together. Last week, I connected with 5 companies. As a matter of fact, just yesterday, I was on with a great organization who's going to create a great opportunity. That recruiting manager, who was the contact for the service member, when we set up the phone call, said, hey, can I bring my general counsel into this so they understand and we can do this? And absolutely, we had a great phone call, had that general counsel answered all their questions, and they were able to feel comfortable about making the opportunity happen. Now we've got a service member who's going to have a great opportunity. So I love it if you've got a company you want to create opportunity with, please reach out anytime, any day. I am happy to make that happen because that's exactly what we're here for.
Oh, wait a minute. This is not like Sergeant Quinn wants to go create an opportunity with Google, right? I mean, it's like they've got to have somebody that wants to bring them in there.
Yeah.
Right?
So good question. And I've had a couple of people, when we talk about this, then they send me a list of 35 employers that they saw in the Fortune 100 and said, hey, I'd love to work for these companies. Okay. First of all, let's go ahead and back that up a little bit and start discovering where you belong and what you really want to do, not just the companies and names that you've heard of. But yeah, I need somebody to actually talk to at the company. And also, I want to be very fair. Look, if you are an individual service member, I'm not going to talk with 20 different companies, because when I engage with that company for an opportunity for you, I have a responsibility to be very forthright with them that I'm having discussion about a single person. If I'm talking to 20 different companies about you, then that's just yanking their chain saying, hey, I've got somebody for you, but maybe not really. So I want people to really have an idea, some company and organization that they really want to be with. And then let's get an introduction with an actual person there and start that conversation.
Somebody that you've already spoken with, you've kind of explained the program, they've demonstrated interest, they want to learn more to see how they can work with their company.
Absolutely. And, let's be clear. When we talk, this could be companies, this can be organizations, as in nonprofits, this could be municipalities. We've got San Diego County Regional Water Authority that covers the Southern California water distribution system. We're working with Mayor Garcetti's office in the city of Los Angeles. We're working with Fortune 100, Fortune 500s, and we're working with mom and pops, with small little shops that we've set one service member into, because that was back home in wherever it is, Oshkosh, Obegoya, that was the location that set the service member up for success. And so we make that happen.
That's fantastic. So aside from the explanation point, so maybe mom and pop shop wants to bring somebody from their hometown in for an internship. Service member gets to go back 4 months early, get a good running start on their transition. Why does mom and pop, they don't have a general counsel? Mm-hmm. Why does mom and pop need to talk to you? Why do they need HireMilitary? Why would they potentially want to work with a HireMilitary?
Yeah. So, great question on that one. And, one of the things is understanding that each of the services manages DoD Skill Bridge in their own manner, and sometimes different by installation. So the Army uses the Army Career Skills Program run through SFL TAP, which is great. But it does have its limitations and legal authorities out there. The Air Force uses similar. One of the things that's really important if you're Navy or Marine Corps is understanding the policies are set up right now require that your DoD Skill Bridge opportunity is with an organization or a company that has a memorandum of understanding and agreement with the Department of Defense already. So the individual unit commanders are not authorized to create programs. They must have a DoD approved MOU or MOA. And that takes some time to generate that. So if you're a service member connecting with that mom and pop back in Oshkosh, Obegoya, if you want to start your internship with them in the next 6 weeks, you need to understand it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to complete the processes required by the DoD in that time frame. But really, there's the beauty is that as a partner to the DoD through DoD SkillBridge as a service provider, we're able to connect with those companies. We're able to screen, vet, and make sure that they meet criteria and obligations. And then we're able to bring them on as a partner to the organization of HireMilitary so that you can get your opportunity with that company without having to worry about losing the time that's going to take for the process. We're able to make that happen.
They basically sponsor the company
Yeah.
For the service member, and what you're doing in that sponsorship is before you say yes, you're talking to the company to make sure that the opportunity meets the requirements for DoD SkillBridge, that there's a high likelihood for post-internship employment, and that it's a real job, that it's not
No, we have deep conversation. That's honest,
right? It's got to be something that's realistically going to enable them to be able to provide for their family and not be on unemployment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. When I talk with a company, we have some very honest and real conversations about the opportunities they're providing, about the opportunity for livable wage employment to come out of it. And we are not ever going to work with or sponsor an organization that will not create opportunities for successful careers to come out of there. And so we want to make sure that that's there. We look at a lot of the federal labor laws that are in there, whether that's the 40-hour work week requirements, whether it's the federal ethics in any federal facing engagement. So we have some very real and deep conversations that get into the nitty gritty of ensuring that that company is going to comply with every element of what the federal law and the DoD has required to participate in this program. And so that's one of the reasons I personally have that conversation with each and every employer who participates in this program with us, because I want to know that I've gotten that direct response validation and assurance from each and every one of them to make sure that we are really setting up a successful program.
So service member finds a company, they're both interested, they could always just contact you, contact anybody else in the HireMilitary team and see how they can process that. Should they go talk to their commands first, or should they reach out and ask for some assistance in explaining it to commands?
So, that's a great question. I mean, certainly you want to engage your chain of command, depending on where you're at in the organization. Some people more junior, more senior, you want to engage your chain of command to ensure they're supportive to you participating in this SkillBridge opportunity. Because the truth is, there's a lot of military leaders who just don't know and understand the program. And so because they don't understand it, they may not be supportive to it. So you want to engage them first to gauge supportability, because, it's one of the terrible things, and we see it happen sometimes, is we'll work with an employer, great employer, to set up interviews and set up onboarding processes and send out all these great things, set someone up for success. And then when we route the command paperwork, the command says, no, sorry, we're not supporting you. No, thank you. And not only does that service member lose the opportunity, but then the company then becomes bitter about the program. And so it's lost opportunity for future service members. And so we want to make sure that we avoid that where we can. So engage your command. But hey, you know what? Like HireMilitary, look, we've got a great team of individuals who, if your command doesn't know and understand the program, let us know. We will talk. We will talk with your senior enlisted. We will talk with your first line supervisor. We will talk with commanding officers. I will jump on phone calls and Zoom chats with flag officers all day long to help them understand what this program is, if that's what we've got to do. As a matter of fact, I've worked with some very senior folks who worked at flag levels and ended up having some phone calls with flag officers to help them understand why it's important for them to support. So we're here to do that. And that's whether you're an E1 or an O10. This is not a senior program for the senior enlisted officers. This is not a junior program. This is for every transitioning service member who is leaving the service under honorable conditions, E1 to O10, 4 years or 40.
But let's be honest, I don't think any 07, 8, 9s, or 10s are going to be doing any DoD SkillBridge internships.
Hey, I've worked with an 07 on here. I got you.
Prove me wrong. I'm happy to support that. I would love to be proved wrong on that, because I know that those general and flag officers have just as hard of a transition as everybody else does. I see it in teaching the classes, because the types of opportunities that they're able to take are much smaller or there's a much smaller kind of range of opportunities that they could fit into than some of the more junior service members. So like every transition is unique and personal. I'm sticking with that. So, but now one thing though, when we talk about, running it for your leadership, am I right when I say that the approval authority is at the 05 level or 06 level? I think at the lowest is at the 05 level, right?
Actually, interestingly, it's dependent on service. 04 level is actually the lowest level we found. Here's where it's vested to, and it's different, by different services on where that lies. But it's that first leader in your chain of command who has Title 10 authorities over you. And usually the easiest way to determine that is who is that officer or GS sometimes in your chain of command who can take rank away from you, take money away from you, and does not have that as a delegated authority from someone else. Mm-hmm. It's a vested authority in their rank, in their position, in their command. So whomever that may be, in the Army, that may be a battalion commander. In the Marine Corps, that might be, believe it or not, that might be a company commander. And so it can be different in different ranks, but that's really sort of the test for where that authority lies, is who's that first leader in the chain of command who can take rank away from you and take money away from you. And that's not a delegated authority from someone else. That's just part of their authority.
Just let me be clear, because you can do, Article 15s at the company level.
Yeah.
In the Army, it is not a company commander.
Right. That's why I say each service is a little bit unique. Make sure.
But a general rule of thumb is 05 level, 06 level, sometimes down to 04, right? So, but what I mean is, if you're talking to your E6, your E7, your 03, and they're like, no, well, that doesn't have to be the stopping point. Like, you don't have to stop there. There's open door policies, right? And that's where sometimes you should reach out to the members of the HireMilitary team and kind of get some advice on where they should proceed forward, or talk to some of the other programs out there. But I think that a lot of it is just education.
Yeah.
Because some of those leaders that are saying no right off the bat are gonna, in a few years, realize how wrong they were. And sometimes they just need to have it explained to them as a program.
Absolutely.
Right? It exists. Here's the authorities. Here's why it works. Here's why it's important. And what I always tell people, there's no better recruiting tool for the services than a well-transitioned service member.
Absolutely.
You get somebody that gets out, they had this great opportunity with a company, they went and worked for Splunk for 4 months. They got a fantastic offer. They're now still happy with the company. And it's because they joined the, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, whatever. Everyone in that family is like, oh my God, let's serve, like if there's any interest whatsoever. But that service member that had an opportunity and didn't get it approved, or doesn't get a job, hits unemployment, was put on a ship until 10 days prior, even though they were getting out in 2 months, and dropped off on a plane in Norfolk or San Diego, right? And said, see ya. Like, no one in that family's ever going to serve. Like, they're not telling good stories. So I think it's important to also educate leaders on why this program, if there's an opportunity already created, why it's important for them to consider. I know they always have to balance mission. Why they should consider saying yes.
And you are so right, and there's actually some great conversation going on in the chat at the moment on this specific issue. So it's Shalisa Geeter has really sort of been looking. So I'm not going to go too far down this rabbit hole because I could spend another hour on this one, but I will say you are 100% right. The most effective recruiting tool to the Department of Defense and each of the services is an effective transition process. Because the fact of the matter is that we need 70% of our first term to move on and do something else. Otherwise, our upward promotion system in the military would be broken. We need to have 70% first term attrition to move on and do something else. But when service members are eaten up, chewed up, used to the last day, handed to DD-214 and given a van ride to the blue line at the edge of the base with a bus ticket on the Greyhound to go back home, the first thing they do, especially when it's that young 23, 24-year-olds, they jump on Instagram or Snapchat and they start talking about how the worst decision they ever made in their life was joining the United States military, and it set them so far behind their peers. And that is more influential than any commercial, any NASCAR sponsorship, anything out there that we spent $3 billion talking about advertising, engaging, and recruiting out there. Look, folks, every year, all services, we have to accession about 250,000 new recruits, officer and enlisted, direct accession, service schools, ROTC, whatever it may be. We have to bring about 250,000 new service members in. And the professional recruiting force of all services, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, Space Force.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, absolutely right. Professional recruiting force of all of them is about 20,000 nationwide. And so let's be clear. 20,000 recruiters are not making the impact message on 250,000 accessions every year. It's not happening. They may be processing and getting them to the MEP station and maybe doing some visitation, a couple. But the truth is, veterans are the recruiting force, and a successfully transitioned young man or woman coming out of the service after 4 to 6 years who says that they are more advanced, more ready for life because of their military time and opportunity does more to message new recruits than any NASCAR sponsorship, any commercial, anything that we do with $3 billion of recruiting and advertising out there. We need successful transitions to accession and recruit the new force. They're leaving the military. It's not going to stop. We need them to leave, but we need positive messaging when they're on the way out the door to ensure that we continue to bring tomorrow's fighting force who will be on those ships, in the tanks, the airplanes, the battalions, tomorrow, next year, and the year after.
And I think that's why the services were smart and left the approval, or really ultimately the disapproval at that level, at that typically 05, 06 level, sometimes 04, senior civilian equivalent, because you want leaders that have a much better chance of understanding the strategic value of this program, instead of that junior officer that basically just thinks, I'm doing this job, I need to be ranked #1 in this job, and I want all my people. So I'm going to say no. They're not thinking about the long-term impact to the Navy, to the Air Force, to the Marines, the Army. So, and I think that would transition to the entire transition process in general, making sure that you're doing everything early enough, making sure that you're getting buy-in from your command. If you want to do this program, explaining it to your leadership, giving them resources, connecting them to resources. Ideally, they're already on LinkedIn. There's just so much all wrapped in there. But when it comes back to talking to employers, if an employer is curious or wants to learn more about the SkillBridge program, and they're not looking to, I know there's fees associated with HireMilitary, right? Of course, because you have to be able to function as a company. But if they just want to learn more, if they want to explore the program, even if they want to learn how what it takes to set it up themselves, I mean, can they reach out to you?
Absolutely. So I'm happy to, when I do a presentation to an industry group, whether we're talking about human resources or any of these others, certainly we would love at HireMilitary to be that partner for success. And I'm happy to have that conversation about how we do that. But the conversation I really start with is how to be successful with DoD SkillBridge. They can work with installation managed programs. And so I'm happy to connect them with the right people to do those local installation programs. They can set up their own Department of Defense memorandum of understanding. It's a little bit of a process, but I can help get them started on that pathway. And there's really some great people at the Undersecretary of Defense Personnel and Readiness Office who are really there to help. And Boris Kuhn, who leads that one, and his folks who work with him, they're absolutely there to help. So they can set up those programs. Likewise, there are other organizations, DoD SkillBridge service providers like HireMilitary, that they can work with depending on what fits their need, whether that's the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Hiring Our Heroes Fellowship Program, whether that's Shift, which is another company who works with it, or whether it's any of these other resources. The biggest thing,
and a few others, right?
Absolutely. And the biggest thing we want to do is ensure that companies understand the program is there and then take it, make use of it. Look, I mean, let's be very, very clear. In this year, hopefully, good Lord willing, if everything goes right, we're going to see the most successful year of DoD skill bridge utilization since its inception, with the potential for approximately 10,000 utilizations across the entire Department of Defense, all programs. And that's spectacular. If we reach that number, that is something to truly be celebrated. But 235,000 transitioning service members each year. 10,000 is a great number, but it's a small drop in the overall bucket. 24 million eligible companies who can sponsor and be part of this with service members. And we see less than 500 companies nationwide utilizing this program. So yeah, go ahead.
Just sparked me another question. So how is COVID impacting internships?
Great question. And you know what? I've had a lot of people say, wow, is this shut down DoD skill bridge? Is it stopping? The truth is, I think it's accelerated it. Look, if you take me back in January or February of this year and you talk with service leadership and installation management and unit leadership, and you say the term remote internship, 100% remote, let's face it, what they had in their mind as soon as you said that was somebody's chilling on the beach in Cozumel with a cerveza, right? I mean, that's what you said. I think we all have a very, very different understanding of our ability, especially in intellectually based opportunities, to work and be effective and contribute and learn and develop in a remote fashion. And so we've seen a lot of opportunities that service members maybe in the past could not have gotten to the physical location. And now they're able to touch those opportunities by using remote. And I think there's a lot more support and understanding to that now. So I'm excited by it.
Yeah, I mean, but they can still do in person as well, right?
Absolutely. I'm working with a service member right now. The organization is in Idaho, and the service member is going to live in Idaho post-military. And we really, really are hopeful that service member will be able to physically participate in the internship in Idaho to build those relationships and the networks in the environment, really build the cultural alignment to them. And that's great. But you know what? The organization has said if the service limitations and rules preclude them from coming to Idaho and being physically present, then we're going to work with them on a remote internship that will lead to an opportunity to hire them to work in the office in Idaho after they separate. And you know what? That's a great way to work.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other part of this is a result of COVID is that companies are having to be a little bit smarter on how they hire, retain, and maintain candidates. And so whereas pre-COVID there's a lot of money to just like, we don't care, we'll hire whatever. Now workforces are shrinking a little bit, companies are getting leaner, they're going to have to look at some ways to kind of preserve funding. And so the opportunity to get somebody for 3 to 4 months OJT on the ground, not replacing other employees, but on the ground supporting the team is huge. And to make sure that if you get 3 to 4 months, you're pretty sure if they're going to be a good hire or not, right?
Yeah.
That you can keep them.
You hit an important point for our service members out there, though. I want to emphasize this point because I think to a lot of service members, they find themselves thinking, hey, this is free labor for a company. And that's sort of the mindset that we end up in. And hopefully service members understand when companies bring you in for DoD skill bridge, they're investing in you. It does take time, energy, and investment to train you and upskill you, to have mentors work directly with you. It's not free. It does take invested opportunity from them to do it. And they're not doing it because they want free labor. They're doing it because their hope is that they're really building a successful future employee of the organization. So they're investing in that future opportunity. And I think from the service standpoint, that's something that's very important for us to understand. This is not just a free labor tool for companies. They are investing in you. And so you want to definitely have an appreciation for the fact that they are putting that investment in you and committed to your future.
But that investment has tremendous value to the company as well when they make So they want to make sure that they're not just bringing on everybody.
Right.
That company's going to invest in individuals. So, when a company decides to do a DoD SkillBridge internship, they actually get to interview all the candidates, right? They choose who they want.
Yeah, that's a must. Now, different programs will run differently. I know through HireMilitary, we have a requirement. We have 100% requirement that service members must conduct a personal interview with the organizations to match them up to. We want to make sure that there's a full cultural alignment and expectations match between each other, and that service member gets practice at really good interviewing skills out there. And so that's an absolute essential element out there.
So, okay, so I know we're running a little late. We
Yeah.
didn't even get to the career transition stuff. So I should have known, you and I talking, we're going to go on forever. But okay, real quick, what kind of companies, opportunities can you give us a kind of a once over the world of the opportunities that are available for HireMilitary? I know, don't hit them all, but just give us a range.
I will, but I'm going to start before I say that with Sonia Rohn had just asked about joining to have this conversation. And Sonia, shoot me a note. I will gladly jump on with you to have this conversation. Anything that we can do to spread this information, I'm glad to do so. So, through HireMilitary, we've got amazing opportunities. They change every day, but whether you're looking at cybersecurity out there, look, we are partnered with the world's leading cybersecurity firms, Splunk, CrowdStrike, SurveyMonkey, Gap Solutions, the world leading cybersecurity firms out there are creating opportunities for DoD SkillBridge. And so HireMilitary is here to set that up for you. But it's not just that end of the spectrum. It's whether you want to look at, if you are into human resources. Wow, one of our greatest partners that we really love working with, an organization called Workforce Insight that is partnered with Kronos, the world leading human resources information technology platform. And they train service members in DoD SkillBridge to work with this platform on a global basis, and then give them jobs directly out of there.
That's remote too, right?
And that's a completely remote position out there. We've got
remote too.
The jobs remote, the internships remote, and it's great travel opportunity, by the way. We've got great companies like Seventh Dimension, who works to create and build learning platforms for different elements like the military medical training platform. So they work with those and special operations training groups out there. So Seventh Dimension is awesome out there. We've got great industrial and technical trades and skills opportunities, whether you're talking about one of our global partners, ServPro. If you've ever heard of a need for managing an emergency situation, ServPro is out there. And so the opportunity to work with them on skill positions and estimators and project management and construction and labor, whether you're talking about great companies like Mobot, which Mobot is awesome, throwing it out there. Look,
again.
Mobot, if you've never seen it, it's the Roomba of lawn mowing. I love them. Or whether you're talking about great municipal organizations like we've got with the San Diego County Water Authority, who's bringing on electronics technicians and application and human resources managers and high-skilled, high-position jobs in Southern California, working with 53 municipal water districts. And it's just, the opportunities are incredibly vast, and we've got great leads to set you up.
What about some of those big multi-billion-dollar companies out there as well, like BMS, right?
Well, so if you happen to have a background in life sciences with a little bit of computer science, Bristol Myers Squibb, the number 2 global pharmaceutical company out there, is a great partner that's looking to create opportunities in production, manufacturing, packaging, and process management out there, as well as global marketing. So Bristol Myers Squibb is creating opportunities, and they're ready for you. And there's some honestly, there's some very, very exciting opportunities that are in conversation. We haven't finished them yet, so I don't want to throw company names out there ahead of it, but there's some really amazing opportunities. But the point that I think really is most important is you are not limited to the installation you happen to have as your final military duty station. So many service members think, I'm in Fort Dix, and therefore my opportunities are whatever is around Fort Dix.
Right.
Your opportunities are where you want to be after you leave military service, doing what you want to do. And don't look at a map on any website and think that just because there's not a pin drop in the location you want to be, that there's nothing for you. There is opportunity for you, and that's what we're here to help make happen.
And I think that's a great point, because not only does it create opportunity for service members all over the world, and let's be honest, from overseas coming CONUS would be huge.
Yeah.
There's a lot of service members that don't know where they want to go yet, right?
Absolutely.
So they may be willing to move for that job, and they get that final PCS as well. So that's great, that final move. But for employers, if they're going to set up their own program, usually they have to go through the installation route, or they're kind of limited to a certain area. When they work with HireMilitary, they can actually post specific opportunities. It doesn't cost them anything, right?
Absolutely.
Opportunity. They can post an opportunity, interview people, and it could be from anywhere in the country, right?
Anywhere in the world.
Right.
Anywhere in the world. I mean, I've got a couple service members. We're finishing paperwork. They're coming out of South Korea for opportunities back here in the United States when they finish. We've had service members from Okinawa, Japan, Mildenhall, England. It's absolutely anywhere in the world.
So basically, from the service member standpoint, register, check things out, see what opportunities are out there, right? And it's continually growing, and so you can continually engage on that. Follow HireMilitary so you can get updates on that. From a company standpoint, go ahead and register and throw some opportunities out there, and you don't have to pay anything until you decide to take somebody. And even then, the fee, how's it work with the fee structure typically?
Yeah. So, look, hey, let's be open, kimono. HireMilitary, every company has to stay in business in a fashion. I'd love to say that, I know oftentimes in the veteran and transition space, we start getting into this conversation of where the money. First of all, let's be clear. No service member ever pays any cost of any kind in any way, shape, or form to work with HireMilitary for DoD SkillBridge. That's not happening. It's not going to happen. We don't work with partners who cost fees for service members, and that's not going to happen. So that said, obviously, we do have to stay in business. So that means the companies that we partner with, that there is a fee-based structure that we work with. But for those companies who are interested, you should know that partnering with us, advertising, engaging, connecting with service members does not cost anything in any way, shape, or form. And it's not obligating you to anything. It simply is when we find a successful match of a service member for you, when we've processed all the military documentation, when we've assisted them in taking care of everything that they need, then there is a one-time fee basis. And hey, look, I'll throw it out there right now so all of you know. It's about $5,000. And so if you are not familiar with hiring-based costs out there, I will share with you that's an incredibly small number for the type of service that we're talking about and what it does out there. So we want to be transparent. We're not hiding anything away. That is a cost basis that we work with partner companies so that we can create opportunities for service members out there. And that's really what we do.
And the companies don't get invoiced until the service member's been on the job for 30 days, right?
Absolutely.
So if they're there 28 days and you're both like, it doesn't work, then the company still doesn't pay anything.
Absolutely. Now, we like to hope that doesn't happen, but we understand there's human beings involved in the process. It could happen. So so we've set it up so that we're accepting that risk if it should happen. And if we do all of the matching, all the document, all of the setting up, making an entire military program work, and then at just 14 days and everyone goes, nah, this isn't us. You know what? That's on us. It doesn't cost the company a single thing. And so from the companies, we want to ensure that you have as close as possible as we can possibly call to a 100% assurance of success rate for utilizing this program. That way service members can have opportunities. That's really what we're all about. We're taking the risk so that service members can get opportunities and companies can gain those veteran talents.
Yep. So companies sign up. They have the conversation with you. They say they want to participate. They get assigned. They fill out the paperwork. They get assigned an account manager that will work with them.
Yep.
And then they're golden until they find out, until they hire someone.
Yeah,
it's from that point until they bring somebody on as an internship.
Yeah, I mean, we advertise for you. We engage with you. We're on social media. We work on the basis. You get, look, truth is, if you're a company, you get free advertising in the veteran engagement and employment space out there. And if that turns into veteran hires for you, other than DoD SkillBridge, you know what? We're just going to high five, because that's success for everyone out there. And that's a wonderful thing.
I love it.
And so, yeah, it really is a great opportunity. And if anyone has any questions, I'd love to set up a phone call. I'll let you know exactly how it works. But really, the point being is that HireMilitary is not here to get rich off the back of veterans and service members. HireMilitary is here to create opportunities and to provide service for the companies who are creating the opportunities for those veterans, so that we can make more veterans good in the employment environment.
So, all right, Chris, we're about 15 minutes past our longer than we normally want to go. So let's end on a high note. I hear there's some big things come up in the near future, where previously we required an approval memo before allowing service members to really go through all the opportunities and click interested. And that's going away. Am I right?
Yeah. So, we recognize it's to share with all of you who might not have registered, or maybe in the past had registered a profile. That commander's approval memo was simply an assurance step to ensure that the command was aware of your intent to engage in DoD SkillBridge. That supportability step, so that we were on board. But we realized and recognized that that's creating an obstacle and a barrier for a lot of service members. So we're taking that away, and we're looking forward to, hopefully within just the very, very next short time frame, we're looking at the next week or two, hopefully, to removing that from our platform, so that all you have to do is just come to HireMilitary's platform. Now, here's what I will share with you, is that the trade-off for that is I need you to be ready to engage with companies. So we're going to get you onto the platform, but I need you to be ready to engage. So when you make a profile, I don't want to see something that says, I want a job. I need you to put some information, because it's not just you looking for companies. Companies are on that platform looking for you. So give them the material they can use to look for you.
And add a resume, right?
Absolutely. That's definitely going to be there.
Yeah. So I guess the last thing I'd add is just keep in mind that the DoD SkillBridge program is only for transitioning service members within the last 180 days of service, right? And for people signing up and registering HireMilitary, it's that last year. So you can register at the 12-month mark when you're within a year. And you can start looking at opportunities. We prefer you to start looking a little earlier. Yeah. You can start engaging, and you can be ready to go at the 6-month mark if all works out, right?
Absolutely. And, it's going to be based on your command, what they're willing to support. But we want to maximize your opportunity.
Yeah. Great. Well, Chris, thanks for, spending your Saturday early evening with us. I think I hear some filet mignon and some, you said, what did you call them?
Some shrimp filet on the Barbie out there.
Shrimp on the barbie.
Shrimp on the barbie.
Yep. And I'm guessing you're going to have another cold beverage as well.
Well, there might be one, but that's not for video.
Yep. So, hey, thank you, everybody, for joining us. Again, if you have questions on the program, reach out to Chris or I. I know Matt Quick is out there as well, Jason Willett, Sarah Thompson, Eric Huff, Victor, the whole crew. Reach out to any of us, and we'll be willing to help.
Yeah, and Kevin Black had just asked, is there somewhere I can watch the replay? And just, Kevin, this will be on Mike's LinkedIn, but it's also going to be on YouTube out there, so you can pull it up and watch it at your discretion.
On the HireMilitary YouTube page or the HireMilitary Facebook page.
Absolutely.
So, all right, everybody, thanks. Thanks, Chris, and have a great evening.
Thanks. Have a great one, everyone.